Hello and welcome. Today's video explores the interface inside of After Effects. Now before we get started, I just want to point out how much I love this program. It's the Hollywood gold standard for motion graphics. The big studios use it and you have access to it too. So we can get started with some very cool projects, whether you want to create that awesome explosion or your own cartoons and animation. After Effects can help you realize all of your creative dreams with video and motion graphics, so the sky is the limit. Let's get started. Now first we're going to take a look and make sure we have the program open. And if you want your workspace settings to be the same as mine, just go up to Window, Workspace, and choose Standard from the pull-down menu. If your standard settings happen to look a little different than mine, you can choose Reset Standard, just so you can get an idea. There are several different options to choose from. Right now I just bounced over to Paint. You have Effects, different windows, and it kind of brings up different things, but I'm going to go back and choose Standard from the pull-down menu. Now we're going to take a look at our project panel. So whether we're importing video or Photoshop files or Illustrator files or audio, anything that you bring in, your footage, all goes inside of this project window. If you want to bring in some video, just go up to File, Import, Import File, and notice that the keyboard shortcut is Command-I for the Mac or Control-I for the PC. I'm going to bring in a video and a Photoshop file here. You don't have to click on them individually. You can actually hold the Shift key and choose multiple files at the same time. You can hit the return key or click open or the enter key, and it's going to bring in those files. Now we have our composition window. This is the workspace where we'll be able to see the video as we continue to work with and edit it inside of After Effects. Now you can create your own new composition by choosing Composition, New Composition, or Command N or Control N on your keyboard. If you are going to do this, it's very important that you name your composition just like you would name your layers in Photoshop, because when you start working on that great and creative After Effects project, you might have as many as 50 compositions. So it's very important to name them. You can choose a preset custom option here for your settings. So notice how right now I have a very small project at only 200 by 150 pixels. But if I choose from this pull down menu, I can go up to the HD TV option. Notice how it changed it to those settings. You can change your frame rate. You can also change your resolution and the duration of the project. So if you want it, for example, this project is just a little over 6 seconds long, but you can type in another duration. You can change your background color by clicking this option here, and you can kind of bring up any background colors that fulfill you. So I'm just going to cancel out of this for now, because when you import video footage, After Effects has a really cool click and drag feature. So let's just click and drag this MP4 video file into the composition area, and notice how my timeline set to create the perfect duration and the perfect size composition for this video. So if I scrub the timeline here back and forth, you can kind of get an idea of a video that we're working with here. Now if you hit the home key on your keyboard, it'll go back to the very first frame of your video, and I want to actually click and drag this Photoshop file into the timeline. Now for example, I'm gonna undo that, Command Z or Control Z. Let's say you drag that in and you're wondering, where is it? Sometimes you have to rearrange your layers in the timeline here. So I'm going to just click and drag and bring this up to the top. And it's also important that as we're working with video, we're cognizant of the title safe areas. So if you click on this option here for the grid and hold it down, it's going to bring up this title action safe option here. And you can see now in the very old school TVs that used to be 640 by 480, that's the very small window. I think for most video productions you don't have to worry about that, and a lot of stuff is on the web anyway. But just in case you don't want to have, for example, this is the logo for my fictitious TV channel. And if I was to drag this all the way to the corner, it could be cut off on some TV screens. So you probably want to at least have your all of your action and title safe uh, things in this, at least that immediate first square. So I'm going to turn off that grid now for the title safe and action safe. And let's take a look at some of our other project windows. We have info up here. So if I was to click and drag around, you'll notice how the RGB colors for each of these objects changes. So if I wanted to match different colors inside of this composition, I could. So if I wanted text or something that'd be complementary. You also have a preview window that lets you play your video and pause and loop. You have, if you toggle back behind info, you have audio. You have effects and presets here. Now let's go back down to the timeline. I'm going to click on the Photoshop file and I'm going to use the Command keyboard shortcut, and that's the letter T for opacity. And I'm going to bring up this window to turn down the opacity. I'm going to go from 100%. I'm clicking that 100 and I'm going to type in 70 to just bring it down a little bit. And if I want to preview how this video would look, I can just hit the spacebar on my keyboard. And if you look up in the info panel, you can see that the frames per second are much slower than the 24 frames per second that I have for the composition, or I think it's actually 29.97 for this video. So that's just something to keep in mind. It's not moving in real time. It depends on your memory and what's happening, how many projects you have open in your computer, but it's just something to be aware of. Notice the second time it plays, it's still moving a little slow, but you kind of get the idea of how to work with the interface inside of After Effects. So I'm going to hit the spacebar to stop the video, and that concludes our brief introduction to the interface. Thank you for watching.